My name is Jennifer. I 37 years old. My husband, Vince, is an office manager, and I'm a nurse. We don't have children, so I'm not particularly busy after I come home from work. The clinic I work at doesn't have shifts, so I have plenty of time for when I get home. I clean the house, do laundry, and prepare dinner. Vince comes home at around 7:00 p.m. Time as dinner is ready. We have an aperitif while complaining about work and then have dinner as we take the day. Vince is responsible for washing the dishes. I wipe them up as he washes and put away. We continue talking about this and work together. After that, we relax doing whatever. Vincent sometimes works on his CC, plays games, or surfs the internet. I read surf the net or check social networks. Sometimes we watch TV together. Our routine goes by pleasantly. We have been married for 12 years. There were times when I felt sad that we weren't pregnant. I've come to think that it's not so much how old we are, but how well we have spent such a peaceful time together. I thought it would continue for a while, but the change came suddenly. It was when I returned home after Seoul with my parents for a few days. The moment I entered my home, I felt something strange. It was trivial, but an obvious anomaly. The arrangement of shoes in the shoe had changed. The dishes were put away in the cupboard. Small things, but big discomfort. It was weird. The worst was my room. The placement of cosmetics and cloth slightly different. Vince and I had our own rooms and went into each other's rooms. Even if we did, we never moved thing permission. I highly doubted that he would touch my cosmetics anyway.
Have you been in my room?
Hmm? Of course not. Why?
Never mind.
When I asked him, he looked puzzled and denied it. I didn't think he was lying from the look. If anything was missing, it could have been stolen, but everything seemed to be in its place. An inexpressible queasiness arose. My parents lived far away, and I wasn't feeling well at that time. She pretended to be well, but it saw that her hips and legs were getting weak. She was granted a caregiver at home insurance. A helper visited her regularly, but little timid, so she couldn't ask to do too much. On the one hand, my father, who was in good health, couldn't do any housework because of his old-fashioned way of thinking. He was trying his best, but it was taking him a while to be able to help Mother. So I visited them regularly to help gave him housework 101. I had to stay at their house. Every was far away. Vincent sent me off without a complaint, taking it for granted that I would be back soon enough. The feeling of discomfort I had that day lasted for a while. Whenever I went to my parents' house few days and came back, I noticed an air in the house. Vince usually did nothing around except washing dishes after dinner, but ever since that day, it seemed been doing laundry or cleaning while gone.
Well, I do my fair share.
He said so, but then when I asked him,
I'm almost out of detergent. Can you refill?
Oh, I see.
he supposedly did his own laundry, but he didn't know where it was. How was that possible? I tried to think he washed the cloth, nothing but water, but they smelled fabric softeners. By the way, the fabric softener was same place as the detergent. Obvious lie. I didn't have any hard, but clearly he was suspicious. Every time I went to my parents' house, it was a completely different place. When I was thinking about putting our camera, Vince's attitude started to... Firstly, he stopped doing any household chores. He didn't even wash the dishes after. At first, he said he was busy, but do any work. He just sat on the couch, playing with his cell phone. When I asked him to help me,
I can't. I have something to do now.
he snapped at me and then went back to fiddling with his phone. He also started coming home late, say had to work overtime. One day, I really needed to ask him something, but he didn't pick up his phone. I reluctantly called the office and that he got off on time. I asked him about it when he came home.
I went out for a drink with a client. I wasn't just hanging out, but I liked that you were fussy. It's your fault.
With a click of his tongue, he made me the bad guy. From that day on, he said he was going out for drinks with his acquaintances and coming home until late at night. Sometimes he went directly to the one instead of coming home. Furthermore, his business trips increased to a point where he was away from home for weeks at a time. I was skeptical if it was true. He spent much less time at home. We talked, and cold air filled the house. I tried to improve the situation by conversation.
I can't talk right now. I'm busy. Later.
He gave me a cold shoulder and days without having to exchange a word W. When I gave it a try again one day,
You know, today at the playground.
Playground? Why do you go there? It's not a place for a childless one, is it?
Why do you have to talk like that? Playground in the park I usually walk around. There are many people who enjoy walking without children.
Walking? It's nice to have free tinnet. You're taking it easy while I'm busy work. 33.
It's just a metaphor, and I'm just through 3.
Shut up. That's enough. Listening to a barren woman gives me headache. 33.
Excuse me?
my objection was ignored, and he went to his room. I was confused by the remark he made. We had discussed as a couple that we would let nature take its course and that we couldn't have a child. There was nothing we could do about it. He had become completely cold and alone to tears. Then one day, a bomb dropped on me. Was working at the clinic as usual. I worked in an organ department at a hospital where almost all the patients were women. A young woman, who I had never seen before, sat in the waiting room. I knew she had just found out she was pregnant. I was about to tell her that she needed to be more careful in the early stages of pregnancy when she grinned and looked me straight in the eye.
Are you Jennifer?
Was surprised to hear her call me. All of us, staff members, wear name to chests, but I had forgotten to put of my pocket. So how did she know my name? When I was perplexed, she smiled and,
I'm pregnant. 33.
Congratulations!
Thank you. The father of the child husband, by the way. 33.
I beg your pardon?
I'm pregnant with Vince's child. Please don't leave him, okay?
Excuse me.
it was so abrupt, leaving me unable to say anything. Paid the bill and left quickly. I was completely aghast by what just happened. When I got home that day, I questioned who unusually came home on time.
A girl came to my work today saying she's pregnant with your child.
Huh? What the hell? What are you about?
That's exactly my question. Are you an affair?
Are you accusing me? Do you have any evidence to support your accusation?
You're letting her into my room? Every time I came back from my parents' house, I sensed something strange.
That doesn't mean I'm cheating on, right?
The patient who came in today knew. She said she was pregnant with your... When the child is born, we can do, I'm sure it'll come back with a very compelling result.
He fell silent and then let out a,
I'm busted. Mary's been watching me.
So, you admit it?
Yeah, I've been cheating on you. Have a problem with it?
I felt as though my world had fallen apart when I became defiant. Do I have a problem?
Of course, I do.
It's your fault that I cheated on first place. 33.
What the hell? What do you mean?
You are a barren woman working in Oregon. Why don't you at least get fertility treatment?
We decided together to let nature course.
Even if that's the case, it's you who can't get pregnant. 33.
You may be the reason why we have kids.
That's impossible. Is my girlfriend pregnant now? 33.
I felt miserable and devastated. His terrible comments made me burst into tears as I argued with him.
Anyway, I'm divorcing you. Get out house ASAP. I'll at least give you alimony.
He walked out of the house, leaving choice. I felt so much pain inside and could do nothing but lie on the bed and cry. It was all a blur of what happened that, when my mind came round, Elle was on the back to my parent S house. They were surprised by my sudden R at night, but welcomed me in. They stayed with me quietly until dawn. I was grateful to feel their empathy, so much so that I cried until there were no more tears left. After I calmed down, I told them Eve. I was able to sort out my feelings about them. By the time I was done, I felt relieved. My parents advised me to do whatever made sense to me, which pushed me forward. A month later, I was sitting in a see Vince and his girlfriend in front of one. When I asked him to meet me, he often came along. I was planning to invite her anyway, saved me the trouble. I put a file in front of them. They were the divorce papers, all signed and sealed. By the way, there was my lawyer sitting next to me.
Hi, I'm Mary, pregnant with my first child.
The same woman who spoke to me at the clinic cheerfully introduced herself. She was young and carried herself with a girlish air about her. I wondered if this kind of girl was his taste. He looked grumpy in contrast to the girlfriend with a big smile.
Why do I have to pay alimony?
I wondered how he thought he could without paying it.
You said you would, right?
I'd rather charge you for it.
I cheated on you because you couldn't get pregnant. It was upsetting to see his unapologetic attitude, but it was a waste of energy being angry at someone like him. With an awkward smile on my face, I handed over the documents I had prepared after consulting with my lawyer.
This is the standard fee. Please pay in full. Then I will never bother you guys as.
What a greedy bitch.
What's wrong with it? I've quoted price. 33.
No shit. It's too much even though pregnant. 33.
I knew he would protest when he saw the amount.
He's right. We are going to have a... How can you treat us so awfully?
I wondered if Mary had flowers in her hair when she foolishly joined the cult. She seemed to be oblivious to the fae she stole my husband and destroyed. It wasn't that I didn't feel annoyed attitude, but my laughter outweighed. I grinned without hiding the giggles welled up.
I know having a baby is a lot of UC. Won't divorce you unless you pay me amount. 33.
That's insane. I've told you many. I am pregnant with his child. Please him as soon as possible.
But you're the third woman, you know.
What do you mean?
I gave her the truth with a smile, or she looked baffled by what I had just said. I didn't miss the face of Vincent turn. I wasted no time and showed them
These are pictures of his affair. 2 others besides you, right, Vince? I hired a private detective and found out that he was having a 3-way affair.
That's a lie?
Mary immediately denied it. Let's call her cheating partner Nut.
Look, he's lovey-dovey with you in this picture, but he's also holding hands with a woman. Here's another picture of him entering, leaving the motel with another woman.
2 and 3 are cheating on Vince. No matter how hard I tried to think otherwise, they didn't seem like friends. Mary turned pale in front of the photos. Vince looked like he was about to throw up.
What's all this?
It's not what you think. They are friends.
You hold hands with your friends in a motel room with them.
I'm just shaking hands and this one is gonna motel to talk about.
He was flustered to make excuses when questioned by Mary. If that was a handshake, I wasn't sure which custom. They were almost arm wrestling. And what kind of meeting needed to inside a motel room?
You're the only one I love. It's true.
While he was desperately justifying, raised my hand to signal. Immediately thereafter, the people behind us stood up. The moment they turned to look at us,
Amy, Julie,
Vince shouted.
What the hell are you guys doing here?
Oh, I called them 33.
What?
I smiled at horrified Vince, whose eyes were almost popping out of their sockets.
Wait, what? Are these the same people pictures?
Yes, I invited cheating partners, new and 3.
I beamed at Mary, who was totally core.
You.
Oh, the detective was terrifyingly. He checked all the backgrounds of his girlfriends. It cost me a lot of money, but I have no regrets. I got to see Vince's dumb face right of me now. That was enough for me.
Didn't you tell me you were going through a divorce and that you were separated?
Vince's face was a mixture of panic confusion as he was confronted by high cheating partners numbers 2-3E.
You worked overtime every day, had frequent business trips, and went on weekends. I thought you were a pretty handsome partner, but I'm amazed that you have managed to do all this without any help.
It was really unexpected, and I was angry and astonished.
No, this is all wrong.
Nothing's wrong here. You were cheating on me with 3 women. That's why the alimony is set this, you understand? All of them have admitted to having with you. You can't get away with, you will pay exactly this.
I banged on the table, and Vince's body jerked up. He was white as a ghost and covered sweat.
Bubba, I'm your true love, right? Only one you were serious about.
Mary pressed him. Before he could say anything with his lips, the other women closed in.
You said you were going to marry me last year, didn't you? That was 3 days ago. Were you going to continue our relationship if you had been caught, weren't you?
Well, that's a good question.
You said something similar, Tome, didn't you? You were about to finalize your divorce. We should go on a trip together.
Were you planning to continue with after our child was born? Are you me?
Vince was shrinking smaller and smaller. Guess what happened afterward?
You cheater. Smacked by cheating number 2. You piece of shit. Another one by...
He was slapped beautifully 3-10-row. It wasn't even the season for snow, laughed at the glorious red cheeks face. The rest of the meeting went very smoothly. He was in a state of despair after confronted by 4 women, including who had abandoned him. He was out of his mind, but he signed the divorce papers and agreed to pay. As for the 3 cheating partners, I initially wanted to find a way to sue them, but ultimately decided against it. Was unaware that he was married. 3 thought he was getting a divorce and was waiting for that day to confront his wife. They weren't in a serious relationship. Both of them apologized profusely to me. I couldn't blame them too much. I still wanted to find a way to connect with someone. But as she was a pregnancy nurse, part of me didn't want to put any more strain on her. It didn't mean that I forget her. Her unborn child was innocent and thinking of its future. The girls, especially Mary, showed distrust in men after it was all over. I was skeptical that they could find happiness in the future. Mary's life was going to be very different from then on. She didn't want to marry Vince anymore, but she still wanted to have a baby. Raising a child on her own was going the hardest path imaginable. It would be her redemption, and I'd be okay with that. 6 months after my divorce was final, I back to my normal, peaceful life. I continue to work while helping Mai at home. Occasionally, I receive a call from, apparently, his savings are gone, pay alimony to me. And then there are the children of Mary. I hear that he is having a hard time ends meet. At work, the rumor of the 3-timing spread throughout the company. His colleagues look at him with dismay. He's made to feel very ashamed. As a result, he's been making a lot of mistakes and has fallen down the career ladder. His parents were mortified by his actions and disowned him, and he is now living life on his own terms. On top of his endless complaints, he used to text me, "You're the only one that comes to. I'm in real pain." I'm sorry. I want to start over with begging you. I used to just ignore him, but the coming in more and more. It was so annoying that I blocked him. I feel refreshed after cutting contact with him. I'm still working in an organ clinic, and all kinds of stories are born. I'm absorbed in my work, but suddenly a thought comes to my mind. If I have a chance to be with someone or in the future, I would like to create stories. Until then, I will continue to support my team.